Well, Jeremy Stevens is back in the UFC. And it's for the Des Moines, Iowa card.
Yeah, he's from there, even though he trains in San Diego, but he's fucking from there. Mm-hmm. And he's really increased his stock fighting over in BKFC. Like, why not? I love it.
Yeah, this is his
great comeback story. Why you gotta bring up old shit, Chen?
I'm just no, this is
yeah. Okay, Chen. Yeah, he's lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, he's lost 7 out of his last 8. More than that. Okay, I didn't see you scroll down. Okay, why you bring up old shit, Chen?
No, but that's awesome that they brought him back.
Okay, bring up his BKFC. So mixed martial arts.
He won all of his BKFC fights.
Yeah, dude, he's 3-0.
Yeah.
Okay, bud. Okay, and then he's 0 for 2 in boxing. Listen, why you bring up bullshit? He is 3-0 in BKFC, and he's a fan favorite. He always brings it.
And this is who's fighting Mason Jones, who's
not an easy fight either. UFC. How dare you?
This guy was in UFC before, and then cut and then came back. Yeah,
he's in Cage Wars, which is no joke. Yeah, it's good to see. It's a comeback story. He's been fighting forever, dude. So it's great to see. But yeah, he's dominant. BKFC builds guys up. They get their shine, and then the UFC sign them. Obviously, they're in cahoots with BKFC, so it's cool to see. Who don't want to see Jeremy Stevens? Tough fight. But here's the thing. I was talking to somebody about it today. Like, the UFC's different now. It's because there's so many fighters, and because it's such a more popular sport than when I was fighting. I won't say who I was talking to, but their boy's fighting. He's coming back and fighting. And they go, man, if they could just give him an easy fight just to get this win. I was like, buddy, in this day and age, in 2025, there's no more easy fights. Unless they're gonna sign like an older guy, like a Nate Diaz, like someone from the past. As far as like the UFC's current roster, there are no easy fights. Everyone's fucking good. Everyone. Especially, I'll say 185 down, there's no gimme fights anymore. There used to be gimme fights. And they could build a guy up, and there's just, those days are gone. It's a good thing. Those days are gone. And this guy, everybody knows him. Like, man, if we could just get him an easy fight. I'm like, dude, pick one. Go through the roster and pick one at 170 or 155. Look for an easy fight. Let me know who you stumble upon. There's not. And the guy who's ranked 40th, style-wise, can probably compete in the top 10. That's where we're at. They're fucking good. They just don't have it, Instagram followers or YouTube, so you haven't heard of them. But trust me, there's some fucking killers out there. It's just the way it goes. Easy fight would be a guy from Dana White Contender Series, maybe, who has 4 or 5 fights and he's just coming in. That's your easy fight. And he might be fucking world champ. They've created a lot of world champs from Dana White Contender Series. Again, they're fucking good. It's where the sport's at. There's no more gimmies. There's no warm-ups. So when you get to the UFC, you better be ready to go. You're not going to get built in the UFC. Those days are gone.
And UFC was like in the 90s, and then kids started training actual MMA around that time. So now they're adults and they know everything. So
everything. Yeah. They're good at everything.
So anyways, on that same card, Corey Sandhagen, we already talked about Corey Sandhagen versus Davison Figueiredo.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, they're going to headline it. And it says it's the first time they've been there in 25 years.
Weird. Well, Iowa used to be kind of a hotbed for MMA. Super. I mean, Matt Hughes came out of there, that whole camp. The whole Hughes camp, Pat Milicic, they were all out there. Those boys were out there. Obviously older, so. Probably not a huge market for him anymore, but it used to be a super hotbed.
Yeah, it seems like a fight town for some reason.
Big time. They're tough as fuck out there.
You mentioned Nate Diaz. So Nate Diaz mentioned that he wants to go back to the UFC and fight for the title. What are you doing? Fight for the title.
So let's see. Diaz feels like he's been a unique star compared to some of the other top names in combat sports, but also acknowledges there's still some unfinished business for him to accomplish inside the octagon. He put the legacy, I don't think about it as done. I think it's underrated. I think there's left more of an impact than a lot of these anybody has really. I mean, Conor has, in a way, And then you get like my brother did, but all this shit gets forgotten about too. It can go away because you ain't getting credit to begin with anyway. You might as well keep that shit going forever. That's why I plan on fighting forever. Then he put, well, everybody's boring right now, so I'm trying to do other shit for the moment. But like, I want to go back and get a UFC title. I don't want to fight for nothing, you know? I want to fight for something. It's about buzz. Who's popping? Who's doing something? Right now, there's nobody doing shit in the UFC. Nobody. That's why I'm not in there right now. Oh, is that why? You know what I'm saying? I'm watching. I'm hoping for something. There's no buzz. Nobody's doing shit. There's nobody to fight. Everybody's whack. Every single buddy in boxing and MMA. He has a point where there's not like any huge stars than when he was fighting.
Like Conor and Ronda.
There's no Conors, Rondas, Brock Lesnar's, that dominant, you know, Izzy's out now. Alex is out now. There's just none of that. So he has a point there. But, I mean, if he thinks he's going to come back and compete at, what, 170?
I don't know.
Remember the UFC had to bail on Hamzat? You know what Hamzat... Again, there's no easy fights. There's also no stars. That's the issue. It's very tough to become a reigning champ now because guys are so fucking good. So Diaz has a point there. But, I mean, he's not a top 10 guy in any weight class in the UFC. Those days are done. But he's right as far as his legacy. Like, the third fight with Conor is always there. Whether they fight in boxing, bare knuckle, UFC, GFL, where the hell they're going to do it, that's kind of the only fight left for him. But as far as him, like, you can fight Leon, like, none of this, we saw that, you know, there's none of that's real. And remember, he lost to Jake Paul, you know, so it's, there's not a lot we can do. But UFC, he'd have to fight an older head. Maybe a Cerrone. I could see a Cerrone fight again. And Conor. But there's not much for him. And nor is the UFC like, oh, please come back, you know? No, ship has sailed.
Despite
He's had a good career.
Yeah, but despite him not being able to, you know, beat the top guys, how much do you think the like pay-per-views and viewership goes up if he comes back?
He's a top. It's tough. What were the numbers on his Jake Paul fight? Do we know?
I'll look it up right now.
And we don't know if that's him or Jake Paul. You know,
Yeah, I think it would take the right opponent to move the needle.
So
that fight sold 450 million pay-per-view buys. 450,000. I'd probably say 300,000 of that's Jake. I mean, Jake's current and popping in his prime.
I mean, since it's been a while, and he is like, you know.
Do this.
Go ahead.
How many fights did his boxing match against Jorge do, which they didn't get paid on?
That's wild.
30,000. Wait. Jorge Masvidal boxing match on television pay-per-view would be 9,500. Yeah.
I don't know. Let's see if there's actual real numbers. It says nobody bought Diaz versus Masvidal. That's from Dave Meltzer, who's
legit.
Yeah.
And that's why they didn't get paid. It says, now we have Dave Meltzer from Wrestling Observer reported the pay-per-view sales on the event, and they were bad. In fact, TNA Wrestling bad. It did horrible on pay-per-view. It did TNA numbers. I'm not exaggerating. I knew it would not do well. Yeah, it was bad, rough. And they kept pushing it too, remember, because they thought it'd pick up. But I was absolutely stunned how poorly it did. Nobody bought the fight. People are sick of seeing MMA fighters boxing. Agree. TNA wrestlers sometimes sell up to 60,000 pay-per-view units, but have also been known to bomb, with one recently only selling 5,000. The math on combat sports usually requires a promotion to crack 100,000 buys to financially viable. At $49.99 per buy, that'd be roughly 5 million sales. In this case, it doesn't even cover half of Diaz agreed upon purse. That's why they having issues getting paid.
13,000 tickets sold.
Yeah.
So the gate's good then, right? But just not.
I don't trust that gate either. Man, I'm supposed to work that. Yeah, I just, there's not a huge market, you know? But also the MMA fan base, the UFC fan base, they're not, most of them aren't, that doesn't translate just because he's fighting Masvidal, another UFC guy, but it's a different promotion boxing. Like a lot of people are like, oh, I'm good, man. You know?
Yeah. I did go there with Nick, but I get it. Yeah.
A Conor fight would bring some numbers, not the numbers like they used to. Those days are done.